Test, test, 1, 2, 3. We're good to go. Welcome, everybody, and a happy new year. We are getting down today. It's a distinct motive, anxious remake. Let's go ahead and listen to everything real fast, and we'll get it started. Hey, hey, hey. We have other versions. I'm going to show you how to make all of these today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. My name is Dripment, and we are getting down. We're going to go over all of the serum patches, these sine wave wubs, the sub bass, and all these sick drums and hats so we can catch a groove and catch a flow. You know what I'm saying? The full project will be on my Patreon. Let's go ahead and get it done. First off, sine wave. This patch is actually two patches. We're using an audio effect rack, an instrument rack with the low frequencies and the high frequencies. And both are combined together to create the main sine wave wub. I'll show you how to make these from scratch. We'll go over the post-processing so you can know exactly how to make sounds like this or similar sounds. And if you want these patches too, they'll be in my Patreon as well if you want to go download those right away. First off, we're starting with this low chain. So just grab yourself a serum, open up serum, and we're going to make this right here. Go ahead and add some of this post-processing right away. Kick tight, tuned to E. We're going to be writing in E minor today, so E will be our root note. These are measuring tools to measure width and loudness. We're going to cut all the lows here at 200. Do a little boost at 1.7 thousand. 10 dB drive on a saturator, but we turn it down 36%. And the output's at negative 9.5. You have a camel crusher. You don't have this. It'll make a difference. So make sure that you add another compressor or another saturator to get it as loud as this. Usually a OTT will be just fine. If you get the OTT, crank up the output, turn down the amount. Just pulling up these frequencies, getting it a little bit bigger in the mix. Camel crusher is almost like, can't even find it anymore. These utilities, mono, 2 dB, negative 3 dB, erosion. Wide noise is adding the noise on top. 31 amount, 30 width. And then we have the final reverb chain. So we have this in parallel, a dry chain. And then the reverb is the wet chain, negative 7 dB. Reverb is 891 decay, 68 dry wet. And then we cut all the lows and take a dip on the mids only on that reverb chain. The dry chain doesn't have that. So dry chain, wet chain. And these combine together to create the final sound with the reverb, adding that space and that dimension. So keep in mind, that is the low chain. The high chain has some processing too, which we'll go over. All that processing that we just went over is going to be affecting both of our chains, but our high chain specifically has an extra EQ8 here, cutting at 160, turning up frequencies at 391. That's the high with the EQ. So kind of confusing chains, but just make sure there's an extra EQ on this high chain. And remember, to make these racks, you just simply add anything like a reverb or a serum, Command G it, just click on your chains right here to open up your chains. And then you would right click and create a chain. This will be the dry chain, the OG signal. This will be the wet chain with your added effects. And then both of these will play together. They'll get louder, they'll get cleaner. This is parallel processing, very important. You want to be doing this as much as possible. Let's get into the patch now. That's all the post-processing. Low first. So let's check out Serum. We got a sine wave, but it's analog BD sine. Wavetable positions at 37. Now, it's really important that we know the notes that are playing. So if you look here, we're playing E, A, G, E, and that's the loop. That's the repeatable loop. It's 2 bars. Just repeats. Our sub bass will be doing the exact same notes, but in octave 0. So that's in perfect harmony right there. So just make sure you get those done right away. We'll go into the sub bass here soon after this main sine wave. Let's open up Serum. After you get your analog BD sine, you want to load up an Evol sweep in digital. Put the wavetable position on 63. So we're going to go ahead and turn off all these effects so you can hear what everything is from scratch. Filter. So I'm like picking pretty abrasive, harsher frequencies. I'm also turning this up from 0 to +1. We're going to make this LFO to create the movement. So get this LFO shape ready. Put it on trigger, put it on 1/8 T and triplet. Distinct motive, he really is doing a lot of triplets in this song, and our hats, our basses, our sub is going to be moving in triplet form. Fast 8th triplet. So after you make this LFO, go ahead and turn on FM from B right here. Turn it up to 36. Turn the levels all the way down on both oscillators. And we're going to add this LFO, LFO2, by the way. We're going to add it to FM from B. Turn it up 11. Add it to the level, goes all the way up. Add it to the other level, it goes all the way up. And then add it to oscillator B wavetable position, going up 5. This is going to create this movement and a clean, controlled sound with the LFO. But too many frequencies are playing. We need this to be cleaner. We need to create a wub. So that's why we add the filter. MG low 12. The cutoff is going down to 31 hertz. So it's cutting all the highs. And then we use the LFO to put it on the cutoff, and we go up 26 so that the high frequencies are reintroduced every time it plays and moves. Like that. Resonance. Boom. All the way down to 0. Put the LFO on at 34. So we're just gradually adding more of the resonant peak as it goes up as well, which is this little nipple. Drive all the way down. Put it LFO on the drive. Make it go up to 18. Don't forget, A and B need to be turned on, these 2 lights, so make sure these are on for your filter to work properly. Drive is going to make it a little bit louder. Turn up that filter. Just adding as much movement as possible with the LFO. That's the goal here. Effects section. Boom, we need some width, so we throw on that hyper. Mix all the way down. Put the LFO on the mix and go up 37 so that we gradually add width as the sound is playing. It's going to be hard to tell, but it's there. I'll over-exaggerate it so you know what this is doing. It's going wider, left to right, sides. That's important to make it sound full. We add this phaser to add some more tones. The rate goes down to 0. Depth is at 30. Frequency is at 2800. Feedback's down to 12%. Here's the difference. Then another filter, Comb H6 Plus, which is in flanges. We're going to add the cutoff to this macro here. So you're going to throw on this macro on the cutoff. First, set the cutoff to 4,148. Throw this macro 1 onto the cutoff and have it go all the way up. So when we move this cutoff, which I called Coolio, we can have it go through the cutoff and make different variations. You can do this with any filter, essentially. Resonance is at 38%, drive is at 25%. So just a final filtration. This is meant to be the lower frequency wub. And keep in mind, it's being cut at 200, so a lot of the mud is being removed so that the sub can come in here soon. Then we need a higher frequency version just to make them both sound full and louder together. So open up Serum. It's going to be the same patch, but we slightly change it. We move it to FM Freak on oscillator B. So that's in digital, FM Freak. Looks like the wavetable position is at 44, going up 5. And everything else is very similar. Warp, FM from B is 37, going up 11. These are the different knobs that I'll change to slightly make different tones and different changes and variations. We have the filter turned off in this one as well. Essentially, that's the same patch, same automation, same LFO, same speed. Octave is 0 here, same notes, octave 1. That's because we're doing it in parallel. Notes stay the same, makes it easy. Now both of them together. Remember, add an extra EQ8 to that high chain. It'll go right before this little sliver. Boost 391 and cut 160. That's the main wub. That's the main patch. 2 different serum patches involved. All this post-processing is involved as well. And then we have another parallel process reverb rack at the end. So it's fairly simple, kind of complex. If you duplicate this and then freeze and flatten, we can make variations of this sound very quickly. That's exactly what I did here for the ones underneath, resample texture and complex 12. I just did what we just did, freeze and flatten. But the thing I did additionally was go into the warp modes, and I changed it to texture. We pitched it down an octave to -12. Grain size is at 2, all the way down. And this will make another variation to our OG. So this in the mix sounds like... Another variation is leave it in Complex Pro, performance 30, pitch it down an octave. Compared to OG. Technically, you can layer this lower frequency one with our original one, maybe turn it down a little, and they make it even full. Let's turn this off. A little thin by itself. So you could just keep layering and start making new sounds just like this very easily. We'll just leave the OG sound on for now. We got EQ8, cutting, and boosting on both of these, by the way. Cutting, boosting. Next, most important thing is this sub bass. Sub bass is going to be going the same speed as the bass. So remember, this bass is going at a certain speed, 1/8 triplet. Sometimes it's at 4th. This is the common rate. But we went super fast, not to 1/8, but 1/8T. Gangster flow, you know what I'm saying? So we have to have the sub do the same thing. First, post-processing. Kick tight, tune that thing to E0. EQ8, low passing at 175. This is at 19. Saturation, 10 dB, -9.5 dB, 36%. Camel Crusher, British Clean, mono, -2 dB. Erosion, wide noise. White noise is on. Adding that white noise for the high frequencies. 31 with 30. You see our LUFs are about -9 for this sub. Remember, Camel Crusher, if it's not there, use your saturator. Get it big. You don't have to do this output turn down. You could turn the output back up to compensate for that if you don't have Camel Crusher. All right. So the sub, it's moving in 1/8 T, but it's also sustained at the same time. So that's important. Also, we kind of want the sub to be moving in pitch. So it doesn't stay perfectly on the note it's on. It like kind of moves around, wiggles around the main note. You can see it happening here in the tuner. So we're going to be setting that up in Serum using LFO1. Make it real tight like this shape, 18T, put on trigger, and we throw it on the coarse pitch, and it only goes up to 2. It's just barely moving the pitch of our main oscillator. So set that up, add analog BD sine. The mid bass, by the way, the old patch we were just going over, has the same pitch movement going up to LFO1. We just didn't go over it. But it's doing the same thing as the sub here. And LFO2 is our movement LFO, while LFO1 is the pitch changing with the coarse pitch. Just so you guys know. So now analog BD sine, main wavetable, turn up wavetable position all the way. And then the level is going to go to 53. And we'll add the movement LFO to this level and go up all the way to 100. We'll make this shape, add a little bit of silence at the end here. Put it on 18T, triplet, and trigger. Now the sub will move how we need it to. 18T, go fast. And we get it the best of both worlds with the level being here halfway. It still stays sustained while we're adding a little bit of that movement compared to, yeah, so that's important. It's really cool, really genius thing to do. There's no effects here, just so you know. It's basically that, fairly simple. Cool, so we come on the sub with our bass. Then we need a kick. The kick and clap are in Riddim formation. Check this out. I obviously have sidechain linked to this kick, so all of our main sounds are being sidechained. Make sure you have your sidechain set up. I got a kick, but I low pass the kick, so it's like real clean and none of the highs popping out. You can get any kick you need. Make sure that you low pass it, and then you can even tune the kick if you want. If you want to go and take it the next step further. We have 2 different layers here. We have this huge reverb layer, long decay 192 seconds, 50%. We want a big tail that ends right before the next one starts. That's the goal here. And this is our reverb layer. Next one is our dry, tight, punchy clap to layer with the reverb clap. So reverb alone with the other one adds a little bit of oomph. We have a drip TT here on the group, and that is it for the post-processing on the clap. Clap is later with the kick. We're almost done. This perk is really important. It hits like this right before the clap to add some groove and movement. It's also panned to the right. Hear that? It's little, but adds so much groove. And the timing on this, I believe, is a triplet, 8th triplets right before our clap. Really unique timing for those perks. We also have these super long reverb claps that happen in the middle of the phrase. Listen to that. Does add more flow, more groove, and more movement right before the halfway point. It's layered on the snare at the 0.3 and then on the next beat at the 0.4. 2 different sounds, a perk and a clap with lots of reverb, 84% and 3.3 seconds. Adding ambience and atmosphere, and we're turning it down to -11. Hey! One of the most important parts is this. The closed hat that matches the same rhythmic pattern as the bass and the sub. 1/8T, simply. Command 3 will access the triplet grid. Command 1 and Command 2 will make it smaller, Command 1, and bigger, Command 2. So look at the bottom right, 1/8T. That's where we want to be. Then you can just duplicate the hats to 180. This closed hat is really tight, punchy. That's adding a lot to the groove. But while that hat is playing, we have a regular open hat that I faded out a lot to make tighter and shorter, so that we can add some of that downbeat groove with the triplet groove. 1, 2, 1. So every beat, we have the 1, 2, 3, 4s, all these hats, 1, 2, 3, 4 with our triplets. It's just all fitting together ever so nicely, ever so elegantly. And the last thing is the downbeat vocal with our super tail. To make tails like this, just use a delay. I'm using 4, 41% feedback. This is the length of the tail, the feedback. And dry and wet's at 33. We also filter the frequencies so that it's like a band pass. No lows, no highs. Kind of just picked a random vocal for this too. Doesn't really matter what you use. What he did though is use his pre-drop vocal for this section, so it's probably best if you do that. You know what it is. Hey. I hope you guys enjoyed this. My name is Dripment. I am so happy with how things are going. Thank y'all for the support. It's amazing. If you need a 1v1 lesson, I do them every day, so hit me up. We'll get something going. Otherwise, stay fresh and have a great day. Peace out. Lay.